Hello! Today I'm doing another bookish video. Today I'm doing the, what's it called? Mid-year book freakout tag. I saw this on Jesse the Reader's channel, so I will link his video for this down below. I've never really done a tag video and definitely never done a book tag video, but this one looked like a lot of fun. Basically, the premise is it's halfway or about halfway through the year, and this is just some questions about your reading so far. Okay, so the first question is best book of 2017 so far. I chose Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I just recently finished this. Well, not that recently. I really loved it. It took me a long time to read. I did get it signed recently, which is really exciting. I don't know if that'll focus. But it was really good. It'll be a while probably before I get to the sequel, and definitely a very long time before I finish the series, just because I would like to take breaks in between these books just because they are so long and dense. But I did really enjoy it, and I cannot wait to see what the rest of the series holds. Okay, so question number 2 is best sequel of 2017 so far. Now, I was looking at my Goodreads to see what I've read this year, and I've only read 2 sequels this year. I've read mostly like either standalones or first books of a series. I chose See How They Run by Ally Carter. It was one of the only 2 sequels I've read so far, although I did also read the 3rd book of this as well. I loved this series. I love Ally Carter. This one was a lot different, but also a lot like her other books. I think it took like darker turns and stuff, which I really liked, and I just love her writing. Question number 3 is a book that has been released but you have not read it yet, and for me that is the Trials of Apollo, the 2nd book. I don't even have it yet, so I'll just put a little picture on the screen. I'm very excited to read this. I'm currently reading Rick Riordan's Kane Chronicles series, and I'm excited to read more of his stuff this summer or this fall, we'll see. I just haven't gotten this book yet, but I do very much look forward to reading it. Number 4 is most anticipated release of 2017, which for me is another Rick Riordan book, which is the last and 3rd Magnus Chase book. I think it's called The Ship of the Dead. I'm so excited for that to come out this fall. I love the Magnus Chase series. It's just so well written, and again, I just love Rick Riordan. And then also today, this wasn't originally in my notes for this tag, but today John Green announced that he's got a new book coming out also in October, and so I'm very excited to read that because I love some John Green too. Number 5, biggest disappointment in 2017. I also don't have a copy of this book because I borrowed it from a friend, but my biggest disappointment for this year was by far 13 Reasons Why. It's a book that didn't take me that long to read, and I didn't like it like at all. I actually kind of hated it. I didn't like the way it portrayed some of the concepts. I didn't like the way he went about some of the really heavy concepts. I didn't like the premise of the story in the first place. When I first picked it up, I didn't even know what it was about really. I just heard they were making it into a show, and I was like, oh, I'll read the book first. And a friend of mine had told me it was good, and then I didn't like it at all. The whole concept of the tapes just makes me really I don't like it, and I could probably spend a whole video talking about why I don't like it, why I didn't like the book, why I won't watch the show. I have seen some scenes from the show, and what I've seen that I don't like, yeah, it's not for me. I thought it was poorly done. And if you like it, go ahead and like it. That's just my opinion, of course, but that was my biggest disappointment for reading, definitely. Okay, and number 6 is your biggest surprise, which I chose 2 books. First, I chose Everything, Everything by Nicola Yoon. This is a book I went into thinking it was going to be like just another, YA romance, kind of like The Fault in Our Stars or something like that. But it was actually it hooked me a lot more than I thought it would, and it was a much more unique story than I thought it was going to be, and I really, really enjoyed it. I love these 2 characters, Maddie and Ollie. I think they were very well written, and Nicola Yoon just has this sort of charm in her writing that I can't quite describe, but I really, really enjoyed it. And the second book I chose for most surprising, I just recently read on my Kindle, and it's called Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. That one was another one I just sort of randomly picked up, and because I know I really like the author Sophie Kinsella, so I just thought I'd read this new book of hers. Well, I don't think it's that new, but it turned out that it was really, like, surprisingly, like, deep, but it's a lighter read, but it's got some deeper tones to it, and I think it just handles the topics of the story very, very well in a very, like, open and honest way, and I just really, really enjoyed it. And it was a cute little love story, but also still, like, held true to what the message was trying to say, so I really enjoyed that one. Number 7 is favorite new author. A favorite new author for me is going to be Diana Gabaldon. I so much enjoyed her writing style. It did get sort of wordy and, like, lengthy at times, but I didn't mind it because I think it really added to the richness of the story. Number 8 is favorite new fictional crush, and I chose one from a book I just mentioned in Everything Everything. Ollie is just the most adorable character ever. He's sweet, but he wears all the black clothes, and he's just he's open and nice, and I just really, really enjoyed reading his character. And number 9 is favorite new characters, or new character, but I chose 2. I chose Bridget Jones from Bridget Jones' Diary, which I just recently read. I love these movies, so I finally picked up the first book and read it, and it was a lot like the movie, which I loved. And I just think she is absolutely hilarious. She is someone I can very, very much relate to, and I think this actress does an amazing job as the character in the movie. She's so funny, and I loved reading this. And then the other character I chose is from my current read. I'm currently on the second book in the Kane Chronicles, The Throne of Fire, and I'm choosing Carter from this book because, again, I can relate to him a lot. He's sort of the nerdy kid who, he's fun, and he's a little lost and awkward, but he's super entertaining, and I think he has a lot of heart, which is what I like about him so much. He's trying so hard to protect the people that he loves. Even when he loses people, he still is pushing forward, and I just think Rick Riordan is so good at writing those characters like that. Okay, so number 10 is Book That Made You Cry, which for me, I chose Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. This is probably the only book that has made me cry this year. It was one of those books that really just came out of nowhere, and I thought it was just going to be a cute, fun read, but it ended up being a lot more than that. And it wasn't even necessarily crying out of sadness, it was kind of crying out of happiness and, like, a little bit of sadness, because the end of this, I think, is just so strong, and I really enjoyed it and definitely shed a few tears. Okay, so number 11 is Book That Made You Happy, and this one I listened to on audiobook, and it is Yes Please by Amy Poehler. She recorded the audiobook, and I listened to that, I think in January, and it was just absolutely hilarious. I think she is so funny, and I loved listening to her read the story. I loved hearing stories from behind the scenes at SNL and at Parks and Rec, because I love Parks and Rec. I think it's the funniest show ever made. And for number 12 is favorite book to movie adaptation or book to TV. I chose book to movie, and I've already talked about this book twice, but I chose Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon because I just think that adaptation was one of the best I've ever seen, to be honest. It was so well written, it was so well cast, it held true to the story to almost every last detail, I feel like. There's maybe 2 or 3 things I can think of that they changed, and they weren't big things at all. And it was just so well done. It was so beautifully filmed. The colors in the film and the lighting, and then the actors who played, especially Maddie and Ollie, were perfect casting, and they both did so well. They both were so real in the roles, you kind of forgot that it was even those actors. It was just those characters. Number 13 is favorite review you've posted. Now, I have not posted any reviews on this YouTube channel this year, but I have posted a few on my Instagram or on my Goodreads. My favorite review, because this is basically the only, like, real review I've done this year, was my review for 13 Reasons Why. I outlined the reasons why I did not like the story and why I didn't like the characters and the way it was written. That's my favorite review because I felt I articulated pretty well why the story didn't sit well with me. Number 14 is Most Beautiful Book You Have Bought This Year, and I'm going to use this one, A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I have not read this yet because I have not read the second one yet, but I'm getting to it eventually. I chose this one because I love her covers, but I just think the artwork is really so beautiful. And now for the last question, it is what books do you need to read this year for the second half of the year? I've got quite the list, of course, so I'm not going to go through everything, but just a few ones off the top of my head. By top of my head, I mean on my notes. I want to finish the 50 Shades of Grey series. I've read the first two, and so I have the last one left. I want to obviously finish that before the movie comes out, I think next February, I want to say. I would also like to start and possibly finish this Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard, I don't know how to say her last name, just because these have always looked so interesting to me. I've had this first one for quite a while, and I also own the second one, and my friend is reading these right now, and she's saying really good things about them, so I would love to delve into this series because it looks really good. Another book I really want to get to this year is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, because I've had this one for quite a while, and I've, again, heard nothing but good things about this book, so I would really love to get started on it. Lastly on my list for today, I would also like to start the Lunar Chronicles series, which the first one is Cinder. This is another one I've had on my shelf forever but have not read yet. I would really like to get into this series because I've heard good things and it just looks really interesting. Now, there's plenty of other books that I want to read this year, of course, but I'm not going to talk about them all in this video. So that is the end. I hope you enjoyed. I like doing more bookish content on this channel. I'm having a lot of fun with it. But anyway, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!